as Victor mentioned, I now want to talk about the potentials and risks of pricing so that you can see the actual value of a pricing manager if you don't have one in your company, which is not that common, I think, and what he actually can achieve. So hopefully after the presentation you can go out here and have some measurements in your own company to improve your revenues. I'm with BigPoint now for 5 years and started in the accounting and controlling department, now head of pricing. And it's a very interesting topic. This is why I started there like 1 year ago, because in the controlling department, there was everything just about costs. But if you can imagine that a 10% decrease of costs is not as much as if you would increase your prices by 10%. So a price change is much more valuable in terms of profit than a cost cutting or whatever, because cost is just a percentage of the whole revenue of the whole price. There is so much potential behind it, which is, I think, in the most company unused. This is why we today want to talk about the internationalization and the problems which maybe occur with that. So if you globalize and expand your business globally, what things you maybe have to have in mind. After that, in the second step, the perception of conversion offers, so something about sales psychology. And in the last part, how you can change the behavior of the users in terms of payment, so how you can treat them to pay with the right, so to say, methods. Yeah, starting with internationalization, I think you all know this graph. It shows the whole revenue with the price demand curve and the profit. And as you can imagine, this is not the optimum because if you have a price like €1.99, which is common here in Germany for us, we had that price all over the world once in a while, well, let's say 2 years ago. We had a one price policy all over the world, so no matter, like you said, if in Mexico, Netherlands, Norway, Swiss or whatever, everything costed the same. And it would be more optimal in a country which has a high income to increase prices there, to have then an optimum in terms of revenue or profit. Here in this example, €2.29. Or even in some other countries, like here in Hungary, where you have a 50% off pricing. So instead of €1.99, it's just 99 cents, of course then in Hungarian forint. And to gain most out of the user or of his willingness to pay. This is called price discrimination, and you could do that, of course, per country. So if you take these things, you can roll that out all over the world, but in the end, we have like 193 countries out there, and this is a lot of effort to put in to test all these countries, test how the user behaves, derive this price demand curves, etc. So one thing you maybe should consider is not go into detail into every country, but maybe have a thing called tiering, which is bundling or clustering all the countries which have the same, where the people and or the users have the same perception of the price and work best with the specific price level. This is just an example for BigPoint. Of course, others do that as well. For example, here you see the tiering of Apple, or here down the tiering of Steam. So you see some things are in common, like Latin America, Russia has a different pricing. In Europe, maybe more detailed, one company than the other. But in the end, as a second step, you can, of course, focus then, if you have Latin America or Europe as a whole tier, and focus then, okay, are there maybe some other countries which have a low, mid, and high pricing or so, and also with it go with the topics like which payment provider to choose, do I get the money out of the country, etc. But first things first, it's good to have the price discrimination per tier or region there. Yeah, we did that in a bunch of countries, and this is just a very up-to-date example from 2014 where we did some tests in a small country, and you see here the average revenue we made before, then the date where we changed the pricing, and you see the uplift. I mean, the revenues went up like they doubled nearly, and if you just see the numbers, you would say, oh, nice, good job, well done. But in the end, if you look closer, and not only look at the dates when the user registered, because you have to always consider that there are new or first pay users and existing pay users, and existing pay users most likely perceive these pricing measurements as a short-term measurement. They think, okay, it's 50% off or whatever, or 25. This is just a short-term measurement. Just we go in there, buy that until the time the offer is ended. They don't know that, maybe the pricing is changed forever. So in the midterm or long term, this existing users would go back to their usual behavior. So the data you get out from first pay users or new pay users who didn't know the prices before, or in the case of first pay users who played actively but didn't pay it for whatever reason, and after the price changed they paid, they are more valid. In this case, all the new pay users look quite good, and they were the reason why these numbers went up. But there was another reason behind that thing. It's fraud. Today we heard something about that from Etienne, but in the end, the case here was that many of the German, French, American users went to that country just to benefit from the good pricings they had and the less they should pay for the items compared to their usual country. So very major topic for you as a pricing manager would be do fencing. This is why the cute fence is here. It's just a technical solution that you provide the user to go out of the country. So the user should, in this country, in the specific country, just see the prices which are good for him and not go to other countries. Of course, in the real world, you would have this border traffic, so to say. So people who live near the border would go over to have the cheap prices outside. But in the end, if you live like 100 kilometers from the border and there's a good offer from IKEA, you wouldn't drive the 100 kilometers because you have gas and whatever. This costs you don't have in the internet, which makes it even more attractive for the users to use proxy servers or whatever. And there you have to have a good risk management and fraud management behind that, to fulfill this fencing. Another topic, we also heard that from Stephen Dale before at this day, is the change in the VAT regulation 2015. So from January next year on, we will definitely see a negative revenue impact because if you're like registered at your company, Luxembourg, Germany, whatever, latest at this point, you will have to pay VAT from the country where the user is actually sitting or paying. And in some cases, like Hungary or Croatia, where you have 27% of a VAT, this could hurt a lot. So you have to also think of pricing measurements which counterparts that. Additionally to the technical solutions you also use for this fencing topic to reliably locate the user. So this goes hand in hand. Yeah. Another thing, speaking of other countries and internationalization, is of course the user pays in different currencies. We as a euro-driven company, of course, just look at euro, but you can't make it that easy. If you look at the example of the Turkish lira, you know in the past, like 2 or 3 months ago, they had this political and economical crisis, and the euro got weakened, the Turkish lira got stronger, and in the end, if you would have a look at the revenues we got there, the development in Turkish lira, so the revenue in Turkish lira, look quite nice. We have an office there, we opened an office, they did a great job, but in the end, as a euro-driven company, if you look at the profit and loss statement in the end, it's just stable. What happened there? Of course, we didn't adjust the prices. That's the reason why, and this gap in between, this is a foreign currency loss. So in the end, you also have to think about what do the others, and do I have to adjust prices, because it's not just Turkish lira. Most up-to-date example is the Russian rubles. And there are others in Latin America and so on as well. I mean, for Turkey, I can say we not only adjusted prices upwards, we also made some A/B tests for decreasing prices and made so good benefits and revenue increases with it that both of the measurements, so an up-to-date foreign currency exchange rate and the better pricing led to now optimal revenues for the date. We don't know what the future brings. Yeah. Now I spoke about just a little bit Latin America with the foreign currencies. There especially there is also another topic of the inflation rate. As you can see here in this graph, there are some countries like Venezuela which have up to 25, 28% of inflation per year. and this is quite a lot. So you also not have to do the price adjustments because of the foreign currency, which may be stable, but also due to the economic situation there, that everything gets more expensive. And not just from year to year, but in some cases from week to week. And they are not even mad, so to say, because they're used to it. And you can adjust prices there not only on a regular basis, but really on a very short-term regular basis. Now I spoke a lot about risks, and you maybe think, okay, the risks are more than what I gain in the end, but there are so many potentials also behind it. And even with this small adjustment in prices, like I said, an increase in prices or an adjustment in prices does more than any cost cutting or whatever in this situation. And I can speak from a BigPoint perspective. The potential is from 5 to 200% revenue increase just by turning these prices to an optimum and making this A/B tests. So you really should consider that. But also you can learn not only from A/B tests and from really number-driven business, but also from your community a lot what happened in the country. So the community you see here is these are these little guys, and what they think is also very important for you. So you should use this source of information very carefully. Of course, here these coins should represent the price increases or decreases they do. If you do an A/B test and they talk a lot about that and that they see, oh, in this case, we had a price increase, just don't pay that, it's just a test, this would corrupt your A/B test, and the numbers in the end wouldn't really show the real picture, and you could end the A/B test in the end. So you should also look close what the community does there, but also for offensive items. You see here this pig. In Germany, this is very common for like a discount package that you show a pig where you put your money in and save it. But for example, in the Turkish area, this was quite offensive. So we had to change the icon there for the discount package. Or you see here the crown. This was for one of the premium items. There's a Christian cross on top of that. Also, not that good if you're in the Arabian area, so we changed that for, in this case, the whole world as well. But you just get that information, not maybe you're the omniscient guy who knows everything, but from your community, because they maybe think of issues that you don't think in 100 years. You cannot speak with them, of course, per person, then my email account would be exploded. There's community management who handles all the issues of the community, bundles that, the issues and the positive facts, and this is a very important source of information, in this case, for your work and for the work of others, so you should use that. But also internally, it's not really pricing related, but it comes to my mind that often that communication is key. When I have to handle all these things, I have to talk to payment, I have to talk to doing the A/B test with the business and intelligence team, then the community managers and so on. And the value of the pricing manager is not that he sits in the game and does just the optimization for one game. I mean, BigPoint has over 40 games on the platform. So the good thing is that you have someone who gains the knowledge all over the world, all over all products, and you see what the best practices are, and then put it into all the other games as well. So it's just one thing to learn. Communication is very important, no matter what. Okay, if you have any questions, I would say afterwards, there's like 20 minutes or so, we can discuss that. Yeah. Second topic is the perception and the sales psychology of some offers. You see here a bunch of offers from Farmville, Farmerama, SimCity Social, and a Vuga game, Jelly Splash. And if you look at that, of course they are colorful, but in the end have some things in common. And this is why the game designer, not as the only person looked into that, but also like a pricing manager has to look all over it, because there are so many studies about sales psychology or economic social studies, how the user behaves when he sees something. Even now there's something called neuro pricing, so they put people into this machine where they go through their head and x-ray their head when they're thinking, and you also can gain information out of that. So which color would be best for your offer and so on. And if you look at this, the first thing, it's not working? First thing is relativity. So the user, when he sees something like an offer or a price, he compares that with the things he already know. So if he knows not your offer, because it's a new thing and he doesn't really compare something with that, you have to set anchors, otherwise he would compare it with anything else he sees. So biggest or good example is here this 2 dots, optical illusion. Of course you know that these 2 dots have the same size, but in the end this one looks smaller, because if you would have like other anchors, in this case prices, high prices all around that, and then this small price, this super offer, you would think, okay, this price is low compared to the other one, to the left one. This is also what they did here. So for example, they said, it's worth 10 euros. Now you get it for just only 1. Or it's in virtual currency, not 30 or 32, but just 12. So they have the comparison, what is it actually worth, and what can I get here? Or I get 180 coins, and not 180, but 400 on top of that. So they have anchor points. In real life, there was another example. They found in this oyster shell a black pearl. And they could manage to get more black pearls and wanted to sell that on the local market, and asked, hey, what price are you willing to pay for that black pearl? It's very rare. And he said, don't know. I don't know that, maybe $10, $15. Of course, he didn't sell that for $10 or $15, because then it would be all over the world, and we had know that, and our girlfriend, I don't know, would have that in their suitcase. It was the other way around. They said, no, I'm not accepting that they pay so less because they don't know it. He set an anchor. He went for a friend in New York at the 5th Avenue who had a boutique and said, this is a very rare item. This is not a usual standard shiny white pearl. This is a black pearl. And then they sold it for 1,500 per pearl. So because nobody had a comparison, nobody had this relativity, what this pearl brought, he set an anchor, and you have to do that, of course, with your things as well. Show them the real value, what he gets, make some kind of a discount, and show what the difference, because the huge value and what he just has to pay is. Another thing, another psychological trick, so to say, which is here used, are just this whole bunch of sale signs. So you see here this 90% off, blah, 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 this 80% here. Users are so crazy when it comes to the sale signs. They also made a test where they sold sponges for 59 cents each. And then they made a big bundle and a real red sign which says discount just for $1.99 sale, 3 sponges for $1.99. Okay, one or another would think this is a bad offer, but guess what? 60% of the people bought that thing, even though it would be 12% more expensive than if they bought this 3 for 59 cents each. But the users get crazy when they see that. So point that everywhere. And it works even better if it's personalized. So for example, Vuga did this, that this offer is just for you. Or yeah, some personal flavor in it. Maybe you know the color of the user, which when he has a personalized layout in this thing, then this color maybe will work better than the standardized color. Yeah. Third thing I want to point out here is pressure. Not only time limitation causes stress, also other things. And not only stress is working well, also love. But how to create love in games is very hard, so rather put stress on it. And if the users have this stress and they see, oh, it's a time-limited offer, or in this case here, you will never see that offer again. Okay, Zynga did this a little bit, not wrongly, but I think not every user reads the subtitles. The user will get crazy and think, oh, this offer is soon over, like Amazon also did it. Usually the ebook costs $9.99. Here's just 99 cents, but just 6 days, 13 hours and so on. Okay, 6 days is a little bit long, but if they would have like a happy hour where they sell it, I think this would go for crazy, because the users are doing this irrational decisions. There was also some real-life world example where they parked at the wrong spot, and then some people made some advertisement under the windshield thing, and the people who got there thought, oh my God, it's a parking ticket, what do I have to pay? And they get really angry. And in the end, they saw, when they picked it up, oh, it's just advertising. And in this very second, one came there, some sales guy, and said, hey, do you want to buy this car sticker for, I don't know, €1.50? And 70% of the people bought something from him. They made the same test, of course, without doing this windshield trick with the advertisement, and then just 15% bought it. So under stress, or like I said, under love, of course, the user, the mind, is very different than in a situation where you can really think about the offer and have time to think about the offer. Yeah. We also used it, of course, at Big Point, that we give out bonuses and so on, but in the end, bonuses are always better than discounts. Discounts, you can it's very good for conversion offers, so that you say for the user, it's a big value, and just for you, because you're a non-pay user or first-time user or whatever, we have the special offer for you, works good. But in the end, for all the other users, you would hurt your profit margin, because if you think of giving him the revenue of 5, so I sell him five packages per €10, and just one for free, that's like a 17% discount. This bonus of 1 is in the end more revenue than if you have sold it for the 5 times and give him this 17% discount in the end. So you should think about this, giving him bonuses instead of discounts. In the end, if you look at this payment thing, we also had this calculation back in the time where we said, save this amount of money compared to the cheapest package. But it turned out that showing him what he actually gets, this bonus thing, worked even better. So it nearly, I can say it, doubled the amount of revenue we had per user. Just this little banner. Yeah? This is why I say, read books, the social studies, try to implement that to your company. Like in the ad sales presentation, if you hurt your game, it's not that good. You have to really think about what it really looks like in the game. Same thing with offers. You see that, what's the real life examples, and could think about how can I put that into my game. Yeah, and like this little thing, this little bonus trick, got a little bit more revenue. Also, of course, transparency for the customer, because he knows what he gets and also sees here, I get so much in terms of virtual currency plus the bonus. So I think there's a third one, that the bigger the package is, for example, here you have just a bar of gold, and here a whole vault of gold. The bigger the package, the bigger the icon should be, but this is, I think, a no-brainer. Okay, sales psychology is also one part of the pricing. And as you see, pricing is not just turning prices up or down. It's a whole bunch of aspects, a whole portfolio you should have to optimize your revenues when it comes to the sales psychology, or in the end, not only revenue, but also profit. Because some of the users maybe use SMS or other very anonymous methods, PayPal, PaySafeCard, to pay. And in the end, these are not the best ones for a company, as they maybe have high transaction costs. So the question is, how can we change the user in their payment behavior? And I have here an example made myself from the tram in Munich. There you see, it's German of course, but if you pay by cash, it's €2.60. If you pay non-cash, so with credit card or whatever, it's just €2.50, because the guys who get out all the money on a daily basis are costing more than a transaction from your credit card provider. This is why they cheapened it here. If it works out or not, I can't really say. But in the end, we tried it in our company as well. For example, we have here Rising Cities, and we made here a good offer that if he pays with a cheaper method, we tracked the user before what methods he used, and offered him a method which is cheaper than that, in this case PaySafeCard, and he gets a 25% bonus, which was in the end not hurting our revenues because we give out bonuses, and turned out really well. Or another example where we did a survey for all the users who paid with SMS, and as we all know, SMS is quite expensive. In some countries, it's even 90% of a transaction cost, so you got just 10% out of your revenue. We made, for these users who paid with SMS, and a survey, and over half of them said, okay, I want to receive your offers and whatever. Send them a discount e-voucher for PaySafe, PayPal card, and this also worked out very well. But it's in the end very hard to change the payment behavior as the user is used to it. If he pays 5 times with SMS and it worked, why should he change? So this could be one thing to give him a bonus, but there should be other measurements as well, like items or so. And yeah, speaking of the optimizations then from payment, it's not only the transaction costs you have, it's also the flow you have and the number of payment providers, because you have to do it as easy as possible for the users to pay. If you have like a bunch of methods available, why should the user scroll down and read everything and find his preferred method? Sometimes it's even better to have less, to have just 5 or 7 methods where you can choose from. Also, with the whole payment funnel. I once had payment providers where you had to input like 11 or 15 fields, which cost a lot of time. And there were information used which, I don't know, the payment provider didn't need, and we didn't need at all. But it was a hurdle for the user, and in the end, we had to cut them out if you can't really talk with the payment provider and optimize that. Something not from the payment funnel perspective, but from the in-game perspective, is also the optimization when it comes to buying something. Of course, opening the payment, we all know that, but there are other methods like that you have here a slider where you just show, okay, I want 200 of my virtual currency, click on buy, and because we have already the credit card or whatever information, the payment information saved, he just gets that. Confirmation window over, purchase is done. You have to make it as easy as possible for the user. Or if he sees a happy hour and a banner with it saying, enter this code to this and this mobile phone number, bless you, and he can buy it. It's very easy for the user, very neutral and anonymous, and also works out very well. So a pricing manager has also to take care about the payment, as he has very much influences on the conversion and retention of the user. Yeah. Cut a long story short, what a pricing manager does. We have here the revenue stream, so he has to optimize that. Of course, we can have like subscription, this is here meant with premium as a steady revenue stream, but you also have to think about other methods, how we can gain more out of the user. So for example, do happy hours or other events. Then the perception, we already talked about that, with the sales psychology behind it, that these things with the good looking and these tricks could improve the revenue by doubling the revenue. It's not just like 2% or so. There are so many potentials behind it, which are, I think, unused. And to make the cake even bigger, also be creative when it comes to new pricing models. For example, pay what you want models, where you say like the humble bundle, how much are you willing to pay for that item? Maybe one say just $2, but the other one would have spent 200. Dynamic pricing or even bonus systems in your company. And of course, at the end, communication. It's good that you maybe have for your project this information, but all the other projects in the company should gain from that knowledge as well, so try to spread it and document that. So it was from my side. I think we are just in time.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do we have any question?
Ladies first, I would say.
Hi. Of course, price discrimination is fantastic and we would all love to do that. But the reality is that nowadays, more and more games are on Facebook, on Android, on Apple, and there's a very limited amount of discrimination that you can do there, especially if you have a persistent gameplay. Yes. Then obviously you cannot discriminate on one platform and not on another. And I remember, I think it was about 2 years ago at GDC, that somebody else from BigPoint gave a really interesting talk on dynamic pricing and how you guys were about to do it. And I was really appreciative of your ballsiness there.
Was it the Rice Burgers? Philip Riceberger?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it was one of the twin brothers, sorry to say. I just don't remember his.
Yeah.
Okay. And I thought that it was, I would have never done it because there's a ton of I think funding you need to put into it. I think there's a risk of community backlash there. I think it would be best to then create additional items rather than do different pricing for the same items. Anyway, I really liked the idea of basing it on cohorts based on behavior analytics and stuff like that. And I thought it was a very wise idea of going around the fact that you cannot discriminate on most of the platforms. Are you guys doing it? Any updates, anything interesting there?
Now, as I am pricing manager now, I can say that this really worked out. We tried that in Battlestar Galactica, actually. This is one of our products from our San Francisco studio. And I think there, dynamic pricing was a big topic. We worked together with SAP HANA, and wanted to have not only a dynamic pricing when it comes to all the cohorts and users, but also when it comes to real-time pricing. So even the same user sees one offer for, I don't know, €1, but if he's under pressure, what I said, this pressure thing, maybe when he's in a battle, in a ship battle, he get attacked, he's 3 seconds before he dies, then the shop opens and say, hey, buy ammunition for, in this case, not €1, but €2, so double the price. This was the idea. But in the end,
so the dream scenario. We would all want to do that.
The dream scenario. But as I can tell you, this didn't work out. One thing was the algorithm. The other thing was the talk between all the users. Because if you have a massively multiplayer game, they're so connected. They're playing in clans or groups of people, and it's now kind of hard, so to say, having different prices in different countries. But you can always explain that to the users because you have different law regulations, economical levels, etc. So they kind of understand that. But if it comes that in the same country the user pays differently, that's kind of hard. And this is why we stopped the project there. This real-time, this optimal thing. But we also started a smaller project now that I'm on board, where we not go into the user, but cluster the users in groups. For example, users who pay in mega happy hours, users who pay just in the week or on the weekends. So to have very big clusters and show these users different prices. And hopefully this work a little bit better, but of course not in the games where they play against each other, but maybe in something like Farmerama or so, where you have a single player game.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
For the different currencies, when you have foreign exchange swings, how long do you guys? Well, let me ask this. So, how often do you check the swing, and then at what percentage do you change your pricing when you see that there's an issue with the currency?
Yeah, we check it now on a quarterly basis. But I have to say that for some currencies, we didn't even check that since 2011 or so, because this was even not a topic for us. But when I started, I saw that some of the foreign currency exchange rates weren't touched at all, and we lost revenue there every day. So this was a very important topic. And in the past, it took about, I don't know, 2 days or so to change every item. As you can imagine, 40 games, don't know, 5,000 items per game, then every cluster and so on. It takes a lot of time to do it manually, but if you have that automized, you can now do it in 1 hour. And I closely work together with our head of treasury, who is all in charge of this foreign currency relations and also hedging the foreign currencies. So you can hedge, for example, the dollar at $1.30 and not 1.26 like it is now, and so have more stable prices over a longer time. But in some currencies, like Brazilian real or so, you can do that every month. And then we have smaller price increases like up to 5%, 10%. But I have to say, in the past, we had to do price increases up to 25% because it weren't touched.
One question from my side. As you have been working with payments really close, I believe, what do you think about the price points that the carriers, the telcos, have for some countries? Because, in Germany, I think they're quite straightforward, and also in England. But when you go to Greece or to Spain, you say, who decided this price point? It's just ridiculous. In Spain, it's €1.32, and then €3.67, and then €7.72. And I'm saying, Why? Why do you think
in Russia, we have even 10 price points for a premium SMS. So it's not even that you have one price point because you have like 10 carriers there. So it's a very complicated topic. In the end, to start the story, so we did an A/B test where we had like €2 or €5 or whatever, so round prices, and then €4.99, €1.99, so this magic 9 prices. One should think, okay, if I go down even 1 cent with my prices, my revenue would go down. No, it's the other way around. This is this sales psychology I talked earlier about. The revenues increased by 5%. So it's just this effect. Having good-looking prices can increase your revenue. So, of course, we changed everything to Magic 9, but then you cannot change these SMS price points. In Germany, it's, the gaps are quite close, so you have this €1.99 there. But as I said, Greece, Spain, and so on, it's like €1.31 and so on. There, one good thing is web billing, to talk about the SMS payments, but the flow is a little bit different there. On the one hand, you have premium SMS, where you send a code to a specific mobile number. This is very convenient for the user. On the other hand, you have web billing, where you have to input your own cell phone number and then have this conversation with yes or no. In the end, the second one has not that good conversion rates as the first one, so this is the reason why you still offer premium SMS. But we are working with the payment providers in the big countries to be close to the lowest price points we offer in our payment system. It's not the exact amount, but the closest we have there.
Do you believe, after doing all these experiments, that there is some logic behind choosing these amounts in Spain? It's just somebody was bored and said, okay, this is the date when my daughter was born, so I'm going to choose this price point. Or
no, I think it has to
it's just ridiculous.
It has to do something maybe with the change from their currency, what they had before, pesos or whatever, then to euro, and then maybe the net margin and not the gross amount, which we show to the user. And so in the end, having all these steps between that, so currencies, payouts, your own margin you want to have, and then maybe a tax increase also, you end at €1.31. And not €1.29, what it should be.
Okay, that makes more sense than the daughter, the birthday of the daughter. Okay.
Yeah, Mark?
I forgot to ask one other thing. Mobile payments, because we want to de-incentivize users from using those. Mm-hmm. Aside from...
SMS, you mean?
Yes.
MoPay.
Mm-hmm. As an example.
Yeah.
There's many out there. They're not Boku, by the way. Don't tell anyone. Do you, aside from, because we were looking earlier about some of the psychology, some of the layout there, mm-hmm. How do you point out more to the user that they're getting less out of mobile payments for a payout, for example? Like they're getting 25 or 35% less payout in comparison to a regular payment method or a cheaper payment method?
The one thing we do now is showing the user that he gets, because I said earlier that we want to have the SMS price point closest to the lowest price point available in the payment via other methods. So let's say this is equal. We want to show them that he gets less payout, for example, 20% less payout via SMS than for the other one. But it's very hard to show it to the user because sometimes, like we said, you have €1.31 instead of €1.99, and he doesn't make the calculation that it's 20% less. Mm-hmm. So there you should have even more of a de-incentivation that it's visible for the user.
So it's what I'm seeing is it's very tricky to clarify that to the user.
That's true. We also made a test, I remember, where we gave the same amount of virtual currency as the lowest price point, but then took another price point of SMS, which was higher than the lowest of the other methods, so the user can see in the price and not in the calculation of the virtual currency that he has to pay more. But in the end, some users are willing to pay more because they are so convenient with SMS and they use it as like I said, anonymous method. I have had here this survey where we asked the users if they're willing to receive offers or whatever from us via SMS, and there we had also demographics. And it was kind of interesting that a lot of users who used SMS were users who don't really have money. So not Hartz-IV-Empfänger or so on, but these were people who maybe have 2 bank accounts, who have 3 credit cards, who have SMS, mobile phones, contracts, and so on. So people who, maybe all fraud.
And from a pricing and operative cost viewpoint, what's the highest that you would actually go in terms of a price point for mobile payments?
For SMS payments or for
SMS.
general?
I'm sorry, I should keep on saying SMS, because when I say mobile could be in one industry like credit cards saved on a phone, big deal. But we're talking SMS in our industry. So.
I think about 7 or 8 euros is, I think, the highest.
How did they come to that number? Just by chance, just curious.
No, it was the time ago when they implemented that, the highest price point which was available from the provider. Now they have even bigger ones. And they made a test if the users are willing to pay more, if they have also a high price point. But in the end, the users were willing to pay that because it's so convenient. In the end, when you look not at the revenue, but on the profit, it was even less. So this is why we don't offer that in every country, just in some. Okay.
Just a quick question. Usually that kind of pricing strategy, everyone is great on paper, but difficult to, actually implement because of, technical resources, limitation, all that kind of thing. So my question is, in terms of tools, do you have a huge, massive back office and CMS system which allows you to dynamically handle everything? Do you build these tools by yourself and the team? What is the strategy?
BigPoint was founded in 2003, so we had a lot of time to build our own systems and implement all of the, I think now 150 payment providers we now implement. So we're on a good side to do that on our own. But I can imagine that others just don't have the manpower or have, want the convenience to have it externalized. And I think some payment providers also offer this A/B testing when it comes to SMS or also other methods via credit cards. So they have analytics behind that. They also give you the analysis, how many users they were and so on. Not that detailed combined with your information, so what email address did he have and how long did he play the game and so on, but very rare information, they can also give it to you. So you don't need to build your own payment system to do your tests.
Sorry.
I've got 2 little questions. The one would be, when you are offering these special deals where you give additional percentages as an upsell, how do you combat changing the perception of the user concerning the value of the money? I mean, if you, in the first time, give, let's say, 500 virtual currency for one euro, and then the next time he will be topping up, he will only get a fifth or even less than that. How do you combat that change in the mentality the user has? Because it may be blocking him from spending additionally.
Don't know if I get the question right, but in the first place, we compare the value of the new item with the strength, etc. the item has, compared to the other ones before, to have then a price set. And this is set then in German, in euros, and if we do later words than offers, where you say, okay, you get 25% off, or happy hour, you just pay half the price or whatever, then you have to live with the fact that the people will wait for these offers and see if you do this regularly or not. Most of the time you will do it regularly because the revenue impact on this sales is quite high, so the user will wait for that. And in the end, with this measurement, you decrease the value of your own item.
Exactly, that's my point, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the second question was actually concerning the exchange rate and the inflation. So are you guys actually taking both into account? Because usually the inflation, of course, has a direct impact onto the exchange rate, as we know.
We do take both into consideration, because sometimes you have a quite stable currency, but also the inflation in the country is very high, which is then, has other reasons than just what other investors think. You see that also in the Turkish lira example. The Turkish lira didn't get stronger because of this that the euro isn't really worth anything or whatever. It's just that investors pulled out the money out of the country. Yeah. So the euro got weakened. So there are also other reasons which don't have to do anything with the economical situation or the income level of the users or whatever. Because gaming is a luxury good. So you have to have a close look on what can a user actually pay. One thing is the income he has, and maybe the percentage of the income he will spend for games. The other thing is what prices will change in the whole background. So inflation, if bread and gas and everything is getting more expensive, maybe your game doesn't because you're a German developer.
Yep.
But
the willingness to pay goes down because they don't have the money.
Adjust the prices.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I have one question, but it's for Ucash actually. Are you guys actually able to measure how many tickets you have of users with cash left of some cent, like some users that cannot cash anymore their Ucash, because they only have 50 cents left and they cannot spend this money anywhere? Can you guys? Yeah, that in their Ucash they have only.
You wouldn't have, because you can't hold Ucash isn't wallets, you can't hold it, so you'd have to get a change voucher.
Yeah, I mean the voucher that you have some money left on the voucher, like 50 cents, because what I was thinking is there is maybe so many users that still have like 50 cents or 20 cents in their left, and they cannot change it. Maybe for us as game publishers, it's still interesting to create a price point of 50 cents for all these guys that have 50 cents, which they cannot spend because there is just no merchant that has this small price point. Or maybe it's just an idea that it doesn't exist because.
I think we can, because we can measure breakage. So if we can measure breakage, we must be able to know how many vouchers that there are on cash and the value of them. Otherwise, because that's an accounting procedure. So we must be able to. The biggest issue we have is anonymous, so we don't know who those people are.
So they would really have to come to us online, maybe register with an online account, and maybe deposit what they have left onto their Ucash account. Then, with that, we could.
But if the game merchant has some sort of points mechanism and they can start loading these points, and then if they have 10 vouchers, then if they cash in, then after, I don't know, 10, they have maybe 10 euro, and then they can buy the item, or they can buy this 50 cents, and then again, once they find another one, or they have a friend, maybe for you guys it's not so interesting that this user cashes in because you want to pay this out, but at the end of the day, maybe I don't know, it's just an idea.
We will know, I'm pretty sure we will know how many and what values. It's linking them up with, unless the person then registers actually on our site, so we now have a named individual, we will know that there are a number. At the moment, this issue in the UK is real time, so we know this issue real time, so we can follow it all the way through and vouchers all the way back. But outside the UK, it's still not fully real time yet. Spain is now real time, France is real time soon, so it's not warehouse issuing. So we will know how many vouchers are out there.
Do you know, actually, this is a funny question, but it's a mistake. No, it's just a question. But if you have these change vouchers and they're sitting there for like X amount of time, when is that you guys can reclaim them and not put that on your own funds?
Yeah.
Because that would be my reason for why if I was a PSP, I wouldn't do that. Because it's actually money that you get to keep in the end.
Yeah, for sure. This is an extra money that you guys have, so it's also not of no interest for you for the user to cash it.
There's different periods of time depending on what country. So because if it's issued in the UK, I think we have those examples of the years that we had to, it has to remain open on, but they can come back and actually reclaim that money. So you can't, you have to effectively accept a reserve on that, but that money may come back in. You can't just close it off and then put the money in our back pocket, so to speak.
Yeah,
But
from a business case, I mean.
From this case, it could be interesting, but it's just we will need to know how many cash vouchers are out there that are still okay. Okay, but then again, it's very expensive. The percentage, no, it's not, because it's 7% of 8% of 50 cents.